When you lose employer coverage, you're going to have the opportunity to get Cobra insurance. Now, although Cobra can be a great option for coverage, there's an extremely important rule that you need to know if you're turning 65 while using Cobra. Hi, I'm Erika Smiley. I'm one of the lead educators here at MedicareSchool.com, and in this video I'm going to teach you about this Cobra rule to prevent you from making a mistake that could cost you thousands. So first of all, what even is Cobra? Cobra is really just an extension of your group employer plan that they offer you when you leave. Okay, so maybe you're retiring, you're just giving notice, you're been downsized, whatever that is. They're usually going to offer it to you for about 18 months. It's usually for a short period of time. Sometimes they'll offer it to your spouse or dependents for up to 36 months. Okay, so Cobra again can be great and fantastic. The whole point of it is we don't want people to be uninsured, right? So even though you're leaving the company, they're going to let you extend this plan. Sometimes it can be expensive because you're paying the full premium, but maybe if you're retiring, they're offering it to you for a very low cost or even free. But there's two groups of people where it can be very problematic being on Cobra with Medicare and turning 65. So we want to talk about these two groups today. The first group of people is you're going to be turning 65 while on Cobra. So you're already on Cobra. Maybe you stopped working when you were 64 years old. You're on Cobra and you're getting ready to turn 65. We're going to look at how it can be problematic there. And then also, maybe you're coming into Medicare after age 65. So maybe you've worked till age 67, 68, and now you're ready to retire. Okay, so the first scenario we want to look at is if you're turning 65 and you're already on Cobra. You're on Cobra now. So you absolutely must enroll in Medicare. It is going to be imperative that you enroll in Medicare before your 65th birthday, and here's why. A lot of people don't know that when you turn 65 years old, if you're on Cobra, Cobra is going to move to the second payer position. So they're going to pay second. And it's automatic, right? Cobra will move to the second payer position when you turn 65. So a lot of people don't know this, and if you don't enroll in Medicare to put them in the first payer position, guess who's going to be in the first payer position? That's right, you. And that's not good, okay? Because you're going to be in that hot seat in the first payer position. You're going to be responsible for that bill. Cobra is going to pay second. So let's look at an example of how this could be a really costly $80,000 mistake. Here's an example. So imagine if you have to go in the hospital, right? You have a heart attack, you have a stroke, something like that, or a surgery, and you end up with a $100,000 medical bill. You think, hey, no problem, I'm on Cobra, right? Insurance is going to cover this. Well, if Cobra moved to that second payer position, they're only going to pay 20% of this bill, which means they'll pay $20,000. Now, if you don't know that and you don't have Medicare in that first payer position, you are going to be the first payer position and you're going to be responsible for 80% of that bill. So you would be responsible in the first payer position, so you'd have to pay 80% of that bill. And really, there's no cap on this. We used $100,000 just to have some clean math and an example here, but you could have a $300,000, $400,000 bill, and you would still be responsible for 80% of that. So in this example, Cobra would only pay $20K, and you would be stuck with a bill for $80,000 and fully responsible for that. This is why it's so important that if you're on Cobra and you're turning 65, that you must enroll in Medicare. All right, so now we know how important it is to enroll in Medicare if you're on Cobra, but what's the timing of it? We want to make sure that you get this done before your 65th birthday. So if you're turning 65, you're going to come into Medicare through what's called the IEP, okay, or your initial enrollment period. Now, usually this is a 7-month time frame that wraps around your birthday month, but we have a little bit of a unique situation if you're on Cobra. So let's use for an example a July birthday. So let's say the birthday is July 10th, okay? So normally you would have 3 months before to enroll in Medicare and also 3 months after to enroll in Medicare. But if you're currently on Cobra, we want to make sure that you enroll in either April, May, or June. If you enroll any of these months, then your coverage is going to start on July 1st. You would not want to enroll in August, September, or October after your birthday month, because what would happen if you're going to enroll in July, you'd start Medicare in August. August, you'd start your coverage in September. September, you'd start in October. And October would be your last month, and coverage wouldn't start till November. Here's the problem. Remember that Medicare is going to be in the first payer position, and Cobra is going to move to the second payer position. So we want to make sure that we're enrolled in Medicare by your 65th birthday. If you enroll any of those months after, yes, you're still in your IEP, but you're going to leave yourself exposed to that financial risk because Cobra would be in the second payer position and you would be in the first payer position. Now do remember and keep in mind there's always that first of the month rule. If for some reason your birthday was, let's say, July 1st, your month you could qualify for Medicare would be June, and you would be able to enroll in May, April, or March. It's going to bump this all up a month, so you would want to make sure you enroll in either March, April, or May for a June 1st start date. Hey, if you found this video helpful, do us a favor. Go give us a like. We always appreciate it. And subscribe so you don't miss out on any of those future videos. And leave us a comment. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We love to answer any questions you have. That's what it's here for. So drop us a comment below. All right, so we looked at if you're on Cobra and turning 65, but how about if you've kept working and you're past the age of 65? So if you're maybe 67, 68 years old, you're ready to come into Medicare, you're going to come in through the SEP, or the special enrollment period. So this is if you're over 65 years old and you're either going to lose credible coverage or you're getting ready to retire. So it is going to be important that you must enroll ASAP, okay? Again, we want to make sure that Medicare picks up that month right after your group coverage ends, because we don't want Cobra to move into that second payer position and you're stuck in the first payer position, okay? So we'll talk about the timing of all this, but really you want to make sure you have two forms. The first one's called an L564, and the other one is called a CMS 40B, okay? So now, you know, you have to have no gaps in your coverage. So when you're going to retire, you're coming in through an SEP, they're going to say, okay, you're 68 now. We want to look back to age 65 and make sure you've had credible coverage. So this L564 form, you're going to fill out the top half. If you work with one of our guides, they can help you with filling this out or fill it out for you. But pretty much this form we're going to give to your employer, and you're going to put on there when your group coverage started, when your group coverage is going to end, and it's just going to prove that you've had credible coverage back to age 65. Now this other form, the CMS 40B, that's to let Medicare know when you want to start your coverage. So let's look at an example here. Let's say that you're going to retire in June. Lucky you. You're going to retire in June, maybe June 10th, we'll say, okay? And maybe work has told you, hey, your group plan will continue to cover you through the end of June. So you're going to go through June 30th with your coverage, okay? So it's going to be very important on that CMS 40B. Remember, we want to make sure you don't have a month where you're in that first payer position. We're going to enroll in Medicare. So if your last day of your group employer plan is June 30th, you would want to write on that remarks at the very bottom. It says remarks on that CMS 40B. You would want to write, please start my Medicare coverage on July 1st. So you would want to do July 1st as your start date to make sure that you pick up right after your employer plan is going to end. Now another important date you want to keep in mind, a time period, it's called the Medigap OEP. So this is the open enrollment period. Okay, so what this is when you enroll in Medicare, you're going to have a Part B start date. And you're going to have 6 months from this Part B start date where you can get one of those supplemental plans. Those are the G plans and the N plans with no underwriting at all. So you cannot be turned down. This is like a guaranteed issue, no underwriting, okay? So what that means, sometimes when you get a supplemental plan outside of this window, they're going to ask you 20 to 25 medical questions. They want to know about your previous health, your current health. They might ask what medications you're taking, and you could be turned down for a supplemental plan. So a lot of people don't know, and this is critical because this could be your one-time chance to get a supplemental plan for the rest of your life. So really, the 6-month time frame starts, it lines up with your Part B start date, and again, you can get a supplemental or a Medigap plan with no medical underwriting, and you cannot be turned down. So let's look at an example of the timing on this. So let's say you get enrolled in Medicare, you look at your Part B start date, and it's May 1st. We're going to make sure we count May, so we would look at May, June, July, August, September, and October. That would be your 6-month window that you want to make sure you enroll or apply for a supplemental plan or a Medigap plan if you want one. And your last month to do that is going to be October. After that, they may ask you those questions, the medical underwriting, and if you've ever had any major health issues, they could turn you down. So this is really, really important to know. And some people think, well, hey, maybe I'll start with an Advantage plan, and then as I get older, I'll come back to a supplemental plan. But it's just not that easy. It doesn't work that way. If you're outside of this open enrollment period, you'll have to go through medical underwriting. So if you want to learn more about the supplemental plans and find out about Plan G and Plan N, you can watch this video next.